with you across town or across the country. Visit afr.net or your app store today.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. South Korea's new president is coming to the White House today to meet with President Trump.
South Korea's new president, Lee Jae-myung, just took on the role in June after the prior president was impeached for declaring martial law. He'd called the liberal opposition in his country anti-state actors. So this will be the first meeting between President Trump and South Korea's leader in his second term. Even without meeting, South Korea successfully had negotiated their American tariff rate down from 25% to 15% earlier this summer. Now, coming with the president of South Korea is a group of high-profile business leaders, including the CEOs of Hyundai, Samsung, and LG. Key topics of discussion are expected to include trade, but also intelligence sharing with Japan and an increase in South Korean defense spending, as well as South Korean efforts to assist in U.S. shipbuilding. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Russia and Ukraine are still at odds with each other over peace talks, even after President Trump's big summits with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says the U.S. needs to hit Russia where it hurts.
Do what you have to secure Ukraine, get security agreements, and if Putin doesn't play ball, crush his economy, tariffs on those who buy his oil.
The Democrat Party continues to face fundraising struggles and declining voter registration. But House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is dodging questions on why this is happening.
Why are voters turning away from your party? What is the problem?
Most of that activity, as I understand it, has occurred in Florida and Texas. And certainly it is the case that nationally we're going to have to invest more in these two red states. At the end of the day, it's also going to be important for us to continue to make clear to the American people what we stand for as Democrats.
Steamboat Institute Blankley fellow Amber Duke says that's a non-answer, and Democrats should have figured out their problems by now.
You would think so, but if this meeting goes any way similar to their 2024 annual meeting, I think they're in for a bad time. They have a major fundraising shortfall compared to the RNC. They've been hemorrhaging voter registration numbers in at least 30 states, according to the New York Times. They don't have messaging. They don't have a leader. Now they've decided that they're going to go all in on a gerrymandering fight, which is actually only primed to turn out better for Republicans than Democrats.
A new report from Defending Ed finds that the nation's two largest teachers' unions have funneled more than $40 million into left-wing groups since 2022. Defending Ed researcher Ryan Staley says teachers' unions put politics over students.
Show me your budget and I'll tell you what you value. And what we found is the teachers' unions value far-left political power and left-wing ideologies. They took this money and they basically indirect taxes from their teachers. And they funneled them into their pet projects and their allies on the left, groups like Arabella Advisors and the Trevor Project even. And so this comes at the expense of families and students and teachers in the classroom trying to just improve reading and test scores.
An Illinois school district is openly defying a presidential executive order by allowing a boy to play on a girls' volleyball team.
A strapping 6'4" freshman boy with no experience has been allowed to compete on District 211's girls' volleyball team. Laura Higgins of Breakthrough Ideas says this physically imposing boy is changing using the female locker room.
They have seen him. He wears a bra. And so even if girls, and I do know that there are girls who are going in the bathroom stalls to change their clothes because he's changing, but it's not just that these girls don't want to be seen. They don't want to see him. They don't want to see boys undressing.
Higgins says this situation could quickly be solved by asking administrators and the board to abide by the policy they are imposing on students.
They're the leaders. They're the role models. You show the kids that it doesn't matter. You change with your the female teachers, the female administrators, the female school board members. Why don't you change your clothes and you go to the bathroom and stalls next to your male colleague?
Higgins notes the district is putting the girls at risk and are putting the district at risk of a lawsuit if a girl from an opposing team is injured by the male player. I'm Bob Kellogg.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
3 simple words: uplift, inspire, and encourage perfectly identify American Family Studios. Since 2011, we've created documentaries, animation, films, and audio to uplift, inspire, and encourage individuals and audiences worldwide, reclaiming media from the filth Hollywood and the world push on us and our children. See what we have to offer your family when you visit AmericanFamilyStudios.net. AmericanFamilyStudios.net.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network for this Monday, August the 25th, 2025. I'm Tim Wildman with Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And good morning, Fred Jackson.
Hey, good morning, Tim.
All right, so nothing's going on in the world, so we will return you to our regularly scheduled. No.
We're going to listen to music now.
Yeah, listen to me, elevator
All
music.
the problems have been solved.
All right, so a lot to talk about today on this program, the things happening in the world. And by the way, we've had a team of guys, Chris Woodward being one of them, who's been over in Israel the last few days, right?
Yes, 3 members of our staff, JJ and Chris Woodward and John Riley. John Riley has stayed on for an extra time over there. John Riley, for those who may not be aware, he does our Israel update on the weekends, does a fantastic job. And I think he has relatives in Israel too. So he's staying on, but Chris and JJ made it back to American soil this morning. They are now treading time. I'll put it that way.
Does that mean sitting in a New York or Atlanta airport?
Newark.
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 Okay.
They have to wait about 7 or 8 hours for their connection to Memphis.
Yeah.
I tracked their flight last night. FlightAware is a lot of fun, in case anybody's not aware.
Yeah,
from the time
fascinating
that they sarcasm. From the time they took off, they flew over Vienna, Austria, and over Greenland and down into Newark this morning. About 12-hour flight, something like that.
Yeah,
totally in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
That whole flight.
I've done that many times, and you have to go north to go south, so to speak.
Yes.
Because you're flying on the curvature of the Earth, which is
save time.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is a sphere. So yeah, you save time. So a couple of times I've gone what looks like to be, more a direct path if you were to lay the Earth flat on a surface. But yeah, you have to go. You go up over Greenland and Iceland and Great Britain from New York, and then come down through over the Alps and Italy and down into Tel Aviv. Just
a word of friendly advice. Yeah. I would never talk about laying the Earth flat. That's going to really cause some of our listeners to lose their minds.
Okay, because they think
Tim is a flat earther.
I'm a flat earther. Okay, you can say what you want to, but I've almost sailed over the edge a couple times on summer vacation. And
I will say this: I've made that trip to the Middle East just twice. Tim, yours is in the dozens and dozens of times, but you do not want to get stuck either going or coming back next to a crying baby. Which I did on one of the trips. It was either to Israel or to Jordan. And on the way over there, this shows you that God is opposed to the proud. On the way over there, I had an open seat next to me.
Okay.
And which is rare. Those are usually packed. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, Lord, thank you so much. I could stretch out, put my stuff there. And the thought crossed my mind, God blesses his children when they're living right. I was kidding about that part. But on the way back, the flight, crying baby 3 seats down, crying baby behind me. My television didn't work.
Oh,
and
goodness.
It was just a complete slap down.
Yeah.
What did you do while you were there?
Yeah.
My goodness. It was awful.
He raw dogged. Isn't that what they call it?
I have no idea
There's a term, that's been it's a new expression that they use for people who look straight ahead with nothing, just staring off into space for hours on end. You ever heard this? You've never seen this before?
I've done that before. I don't know what raw
Really?
dog means.
Yeah, I think that's what it. Anyway,
now I will say this: I've eaten hot dogs cold on occasion, and so that's the closest I've gotten to raw
dog.
Yeah,
that may not be what it's called. It's called something like that. It's where people can just stare straight ahead and with no TV, no entertainment, no sound, no nothing for hours. So, all right, Fred, what's the first thing happening in our world today?
Well, as we sit here and chat with our audience, President Trump is in the Oval Office at this very moment, signing a bunch of executive orders. One of them being he's called upon his defense secretary to set up specialized National Guard units around the country to deal with public order issues. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later because President Trump thinks beyond D.C., cities like Chicago, Baltimore, New York, they need National Guard troops. So also he's, if you burn the flag, you get 1 year in jail. Now remember, these are executive orders, folks. It seems to me flag burning has gone up the proverbial legal pole all the way to the Supreme Court. What this executive order means, I'm not sure. But also, he wants to end cashless bail also. So all of this is going on in Washington, D.C. right now. Not far away from D.C., we had breaking news this morning. He could perhaps be called the best-known illegal alien. His name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's the guy who back several months ago was deported to El Salvador along with a bunch of others. And remember the Democrat that went down there and had lunch with him, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, there was a court order to bring him back. He was brought back to the United States from El Salvador. By the way, he's from El Salvador originally, this guy, this Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They brought him back, and he was charged with human smuggling. And that's in connection to a stop in 2022 in Tennessee, and he had a bunch of people in the car with him. So he's in the country illegally. Nobody's debating that. There is this outstanding charge now. Now, what happened on Friday was he's been held in a detention center in Tennessee. A judge said he has to be let go, and they took him to where he's been living the last several years in Baltimore. This morning, very early, he reported to the Immigration Center, ICE Center, there in Baltimore. Apparently, over the weekend, Mr. Abrego Garcia was given some options. If he pled guilty to the smuggling charges, he could serve a bit of time, but then go to Costa Rica, if he agreed to that, to plead guilty. If he didn't plead guilty, they were going to deport him to Uganda. The report is at this hour he did not plead guilty, and so he is, as of this hour, under arrest. However, his lawyer is already going to court to say that this detention at this point is illegal. So we'll see how that all works out. So that is Kilmar Abrego Garcia. It was very interesting this morning. Fox actually covered this live. He shows up at the ICE Center there in Baltimore, and he's got this throng of people, supporters behind him, including a priest and some others. And he was painted as, just a wonderful, wonderful individual, despite the fact that he broke into the country. And so that's where he is. You're going to see a lot about this guy. The mainstream media, he has become a hero for them because they don't like what Donald Trump is doing with regards to illegal immigration. So we'll see what happens.
And so he's not actually been convicted of the human smuggling.
That is correct.
These are the charges that have been against him. By the way, I'm looking at a story about Abrego Garcia on American Family News. You can check that out on afn.net. So this is, I think if he had been convicted, it might make a little bit of difference on the part of the mainstream media. But they've never seen a criminal or someone charged with a crime that they didn't love if the Trump administration and the president are on the other side of it, which Trump is because of the illegal status of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. By the way, what is the reason for this deal that the U.S. government has offered to Garcia? If you confess to the human smuggling, you go to El Salvador. If you don't, you go
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Yes. If you don't, you go to Uganda.
Yes.
What's the is that a tougher prison?
I guess so. The Trump administration, Homeland Security, they've signed deals with a bunch of different countries now.
To take prisoners.
And I'm assuming there's a candy in the Costa Rica thing.
Yeah.
Much nicer country, closer to the United States. If you don't confess, we're going to ship you to Uganda.
Yeah. And these countries who have agreed to take prisoners.
Yes.
We pay them for that. So this is.
Oh, there's always money.
So there's money going. That's why
yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's their enticement for taking them.
Right.
Yes.
All right, next story.
All right, well, somewhat connected, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that he is halting
Marco.
Marco. Little Marco.
I shouldn't have
Rubio.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Anyway, he's halting work visas for foreign commercial truck drivers, and a lot of people who are concerned about the legality of giving commercial driver's licenses to people who can't speak English. That's been around for a while. But all of this is in connection to the incident last week that we reported on. This is a man who entered this country illegally. His name is Harjinder Singh. He was involved in that horrible accident down in Florida. He was driving an 18-wheeler, does a U-turn on a turnpike. A van with 3 people in it slammed into the back of that trailer, and they all tragically died. He and the other person in that truck fled back to Stockton, California. He was arrested there and has returned to Florida. So what we're learning is that apparently there are a lot of these 18-wheeler truck drivers in this country, whether they've come in legally or illegally. They don't know how to read. They can't speak English, and they don't know how to read English signs. And so...
Yet they're being hired to drive 18-wheelers for companies?
Exactly.
Across the country.
Yes. This story about unqualified people to hold a commercial driver's license for these trucks, this concern has been around for a long time, long before the incident in Florida last week, that some of these people who do an honest business, who have qualified drivers, are pointing to these other companies that basically hire anything. Of course, the other aspect is this: in California, it doesn't matter if you're an illegal immigrant. It doesn't seem to matter if you can speak English or not or read a sign. They'll give you a commercial driver's license. And that's one of the big problems. Sean Duffy, he is our transportation secretary. He was talking about this. The Mr. Singh, who's now back in custody in Florida, there's a petition that came out on the weekend signed by 2.5 million people asking Florida to go easy on him. Well, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy was talking about that. Cut number 4.
They gave him a full-term CDL. That's reserved for American citizens, to which he is not an American citizen. And we put out a rule, by the way, just backing up a little bit, Trey, in May that says if you got a CDL, you have to speak the language and understand road signs. That went into full force and effect in June. In July, this guy was pulled over in New Mexico and for speeding, and they did nothing to take him out of service. We tested him after the crash. He failed full stop, failed, couldn't speak the language, couldn't understand road signs, and New Mexico should have put his vehicle out of service. And had they, we would have saved those 3 lives. Again, we're going to come out next week with some more news on this. But the bottom line is, follow the rules of DOT in your state, or there will be serious consequences.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, this doesn't make the New Mexico Highway Patrol look good at all. Makes them look bad. If what that gentleman there is saying is accurate.
Because those 3 lives they'd be still here with us.
I would look forward to an explanation from New Mexico.
There's got to be records of the stop.
Right.
These trucks, they have identifiers. My point, the thing that I think about is there are only 2 reasons for a company to hire someone like this. Number 1, they don't have enough drivers. Okay, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but that might indicate why they'll just take anybody. Or number 2, they're paying them less. And if that's the case, these companies should be put out of business or fined heavily because they are paying illegals who cannot drive safely. I say that because they can't read signs, they can't speak English. And they're coming from countries where driving is not an art, okay, unless you're trying to stay alive. He was pulled over for speeding in New Mexico. So if these companies are hiring someone so they can pay them less, that's putting American citizens out of work, and they just don't want to pay a good wage for their truck drivers. I don't know what other reasons there could be for hiring someone who is an illegal and can't speak the language or understand signs. Yeah. You're just either so desperate for someone to drive a truck, you'll lower your standards, or you already have low standards and you pay less.
So Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, he's doing what exactly? What's the bottom line of this story?
Well, the bottom line is they're going to stop giving work visas for foreign commercial truck drivers.
Okay.
All right. So it doesn't matter whether you've entered the country legally or illegally.
Right. Probably until they get this all sorted out.
Well, they
keep this from happening again.
They want to make sure the basics are there. Number 1, the person can drive, has some degree of experience in 18-wheelers, but more importantly, that they can pass an English test, both reading and spoken. And this guy, Singh, it's been reported, there's 12 things that you have to be able to read English.
Yeah.
He only passed 2. Yeah. But he still got, in California, California
gave him a driver's license anyway to
commercial driver's license.
Well, once you cross state lines, it's a federal issue. I don't know what kind of trouble the state trooper could get in, the New Mexico state trooper, for letting this guy go. The state troopers should understand federal law, and they should do what they have to do if a person is driving and breaking federal law. I mean, they're not federal agents of the federal government, but I don't know, something has to be done.
But
if I'm
just envisioning a highway patrolman in New Mexico walking up to the truck, or the truck driver, this guy getting out, this Indian man from not American Indian, but a Indian, getting out of the car, of the 18-wheeler, and trying to converse with this guy. And you guy going, this guy can't even speak English. And I don't know. It'd just be interesting to see what was written down.
I will say that maybe the state trooper looks at him. He says he's got a California driver's license, commercial.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not up to the state trooper, I guess, to see if he can pass a driving test. Maybe he thinks, well, he's got a license.
Right.
California, they know what they're doing. I don't know.
All right, you're listening to today's issue. Well, good for Marco Rubio, though, for doing that till we get that situation solved or worked out, to keep that from happening again. And I know there are probably a lot of nervous companies if they've got people out on who are not legal citizens out on the highways driving commercial trucks.
Absolutely.
Did you see the other day where there was a fella in New England who was a police officer who was an illegal alien?
What?
Did you not see this?
A policeman?
Yeah, he was a policeman. and he was illegal. He was here illegally. Look at it. Type it up. Type it. New England. Type it up. I don't know. Can you type it down? New England police officer is. You put him undocumented or illegal, whatever you want to put, illegal alien. See if it doesn't come up.
Yeah, ICE. Okay, so this is from the ICE website, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. ICE arrests illegal aliens serving as a local police officer after attempting to unlawfully purchase firearm in Maine. He's a Jamaican national. He attempted to illegally purchase a firearm for his employment as a local police officer.
Yeah.
So he was arrested
in Maine.
Now he was employed as a reserve police officer.
Right.
But still, that's
Maine's probably a sanctuary state. I doubt they even asked for proof of citizenship.
Pretty liberal.
Wouldn't you say?
Pretty liberal.
Yeah. There you go. So he was going to be a police officer there, though. Or was he?
Well, he was. This ICE.
A Jamaican in Maine.
Yes.
Talk about somebody that was a standout.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Am I right?
Well, that accent is what you're talking about, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, and this says that he was.
Hey, Mon.
Hey, Mon. You're going to have to pull over that. He was a reserve police officer.
Okay.
But he was not apparently issued a firearm, so that's why he tried to illegally purchase a firearm, because they didn't give him one for his reserve officer position, and that's when they caught him.
Wouldn't you think you would ask for proof of citizenship before you hired somebody to be a police officer? Wouldn't you think?
This guy didn't even have a lawful visa. This press release from ICE says he lawfully entered the United States September 24th, 2023. However, he violated the terms of his lawful admission when he overstayed his visa.
Yeah.
So if you're hiring people for reserve officer status, do you not check to see if they have a lawful visa? This is just getting bizarre. To your point, it may very well be that somebody loses their job in Maine because they, wink, wink. We'll give you a job. We're a sanctuary state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you won't stand out at all. You'll blend right in.
In Maine, a Jamaican in Maine, kind of like that.
That would make a movie. That'll make a movie.
Like Cool Runnings or something.
Yeah. Take a break a little early here. All right. What did you say? You combined Canadian with Jamaican there, Fred. What did you say?
Hey, Mon.
Hey, Mon. Hey.
Hey, Mon.
Hey, Mon.
All right. We will return with more after this short time out. You're listening to the radio program Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Years ago, I wrote a letter to my father. He was alive then. And I shared some thoughts with him. I'd like to share that with you today. Dear Daddy, once every year they have a special day for fellows like you. They call it Father's Day. And on that day, we children are supposed to honor you. Somehow that just doesn't seem right. Oh, not that you shouldn't be honored, you deserve that, but that we should have a special day to do it. Somehow I have an idea that every day is, for fathers like you, a Father's Day. For every day, folks like myself go through life, make decisions, pass judgments, and in general, live out our lives on principles that our fathers taught us. Often I think about what would have happened to me if I'd ever started looking at the bottle to solve some of my problems. I know many people who have. They used to say that 1 person in every 16 who drinks becomes an alcoholic. The figure is probably a little higher now. But I don't have to worry about becoming an alcoholic for the simple reason you taught me not to drink. I remember very clearly when I was but a youngster asking you about drinking. You told me that you never did. That solved the thing for me then and there. If you didn't drink, then I knew I shouldn't either. I sincerely try to treat people fair and honest, to treat them as I would like to be treated. In other words, I try to apply the golden rule to my life. Where did I learn this? Not so much from my Sunday school teacher or preacher as from you. Oh, I know, you never set me down and made me memorize it. But I learned it as I saw you practice it in your daily life. And memorizing it wouldn't have helped much unless I saw you practicing it. You never gave us children much money for the simple reason you didn't have much to give. You would have given us your last penny if we had needed it. I know that. But you gave us something worth many times over the value of money. You gave us a good name. I've always been proud to carry a part of your name. I do so with head held high. Seems that I remember somewhere in the good book it says a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. I believe that. As I grow older in years, I grow continually more thankful for your influence on me. I cannot knowingly cheat a man or tell a lie or do any other thing which is morally wrong for the simple reason that as a growing kid, you taught me an honest, better way of living. Most folks measure success today by how high you rise or how much money you make or how powerful you are. Those criteria are false. And those persons who measure success by them are fools. The successful people are people like you. They're people who give their children real riches, spiritual riches. I have many ambitions in this life, Daddy. You know that. But ranking high on the list is this one, to be as good a father to my children as you were to yours. If I can do it, I too can be successful. Thanks for giving me a good start.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Therefore, preparing your minds for action and being sober-minded, set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. 1 Peter 1:13.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on American Family Radio, Mon. And Tim with Ed and Fred.
Got that Jamaican accent going, Tim.
If you missed the last segment, then that's what that was referencing, and we really don't have time to review that again. No. Because we are apt here from time to time to rabbit trail. And
yes.
And if we go back to the last segment, and we will rabbit trail again.
I'm not sure what you call that. If you
rabbit trail,
if you rabbit trail
twice
to revisit the first rabbit trail you took.
I don't know. That's a good question. You need to invent a word.
I'll research that.
Research that or invent a word for it. All right. So our guest in studio is who, Ed?
Yes, we have Ann Cockrell, who's a co-host of Hannah's Heart, heard Saturdays at 4 a.m. Central Time and 5 p.m. Central Time on American Family Radio. And we want to talk to Ann about Hannah's Heart second annual Bibles for Babies campaign. First of all, Ann, welcome to Today's Issues.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Now, I want to ask the obvious question.
Okay.
How does a baby read a Bible? But before we get to the campaign, tell our listeners who might not be aware, maybe they don't listen to the radio on weekends or whatever, about Hannah's Heart.
So Hannah's Heart was created mainly to hopefully minister to couples and encourage them to cling to Christ during their time of struggling with infertility, miscarriage, child loss, that kind of thing. But we've definitely grown to more than that, especially on the show. If people listen in, the show has covered things from adoptions to failed adoptions to singleness, but you're, wanting to have babies, but you're not married. And so we've covered child loss and even how to help crisis pregnancy centers.
What percentage of couples deal with infertility?
It's a very staggering statistic now. We have the newest statistic of there's 1 in 3 pregnancies end in miscarriage. So 1 in 3. And then it's 1 in 8 couples that struggle with infertility. So it's
1 in 3 pregnancies end in miscarriage?
1 in 3.
Is that? I know we're chasing a rabbit here a little bit.
It's related though.
It's related.
So is that number going up?
That number's going up.
Okay.
Yeah, that number's gone up since we started Hannah's Heart. When we first started Hannah's Heart, it was 1 in 4. And now, as of last year, the statistic went to 1 in 3 at the beginning of this year.
Is it okay? So is this because the statistics, keeping the statistics is becoming more efficient? Or do we have some sort of trend here, and any idea why that would be going up?
Well, you could take me down a rabbit hole.
Okay.
If you wanted me to get into all of that.
You would only be speculating, right?
I would be speculating. Now, there's some, proof in the pudding of what all we're taking in. Just as Americans, the things that we breathe in daily, the things that we eat, the hormone disruptors, and the lotions that we use, and the candles that we burn, and the Glade things that you plug in on your wall, those things are all hormone disruptors.
College football has nothing to do.
College football.
Okay,
I don't think so.
We're safe on that.
We're safe on that one.
Okay, all right.
Now, Tim, but you may have to stop using some of your lotions,
Well, I was
for your
thinking
skin.
that. I was thinking when she said body lotions.
Your Axe body spray, that kind of thing.
Those kinds of things. You know, which I'm very dependent on.
Yeah, I always see you rubbing your hands.
Yes.
I can tell you about some better lotions.
Natural.
Natural. Yeah.
All right. So the Hannah's Heart program airs weekends, 4 o'clock Central Time on Saturday and 5 o'clock Central Time on Sunday on American Family Radio. Tell us about specifically. We're gonna ask people for money right now.
We're asking people for money.
Are we not?
Yes,
we are straight up.
I guess not.
This is a very. I like this campaign.
I like this campaign.
Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
So what we are asking for and encouraging for people to do is you can donate $10, and that provides 1 Bible. And I know it does sound silly, Bibles for babies, because babies can't read. But our local pregnancy center here in Tupelo, where we're located, is Parkgate Pregnancy Center, and they started doing this a little over a year ago, providing Bibles for women and young girls who come in and have a positive pregnancy test. And so that is their first baby gift, their first congratulations, because we know that crisis pregnancy centers, they're usually seeing girls that might not have been planning for this pregnancy, right? But we as Christians know and believe that each child that is conceived is a child made in the image of God, rather that being conceived is necessarily what we believe is the correct way. It's probably might be outside of marriage or might not be what should have happened, but that baby is here and is created in the image of the Lord, and if it has a heartbeat, then that's a life worth saving and worth celebrating.
And so the Bibles are for the mom.
For the moms.
But that is also to get them thinking in terms
right.
of Jesus Christ, in terms of when they raise their babies.
So what inspired me when I talked to my friend who is the director of Parkgate Pregnancy Center here, she told me a story that they had this was random to get the Bibles at first, and that was before we were involved, but they gave a Bible to a young girl who came in, and she said, I've never had a Bible before, and she kind of didn't understand, like, why are you giving me this? The baby's not here yet. I just had my first positive pregnancy test. But she ended up going home, reading that whole Bible to her little baby belly that night, came back the next day and said, I want to know Jesus. I want to know. I've read this whole Bible. last night.
Is it just a New Testament?
It's no,
She
it
read
starts
the
with,
whole Bible?
Well,
She
hold
didn't
on.
read the whole Bible overnight.
It's a children's Bible.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
so it's a new beginner's children's Bible. Yeah.
All right.
It's something that I grew
Sound
up.
like you didn't believe it, Ed.
Well, I was just, maybe she's a speed
Yeah,
reader.
I'm glad you clarified.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Speed
my
reader. She was a speed reader.
So New Beginners Bibles for children.
Yes, it
For
is a
$10.
children's
But
Bible.
you're saying she read that and witnessed to her.
Yes.
And she got saved.
Yes, and so it was
That's
like
awesome.
at Parkgate, that's when Andrea was saying, she was like, we've always felt the need to provide physically for these women. We got diapers and formula and bottles, clothes, things like that. But are we providing the spiritual needs? And that's actually number one.
Amen.
And so they, at Parkgate, they offer parenting classes for the mom and the dad, or if the dad might not be in the picture, the mom and her mom, things like that. And so once you go through these parenting classes, you then get like a diaper bag full of things. And so they wanted the Bible to be the first part of that.
Okay, how do people
parenting
give
class.
$10?
People give $10 by going to afr.net, and it is our homepage. And so you just click on the link there, and you can donate that way, or you can call in at 877-616-2396.
How you do that again? Give that information. $10 buys a Bible that's given to a young lady who is in a situation where she has a unexpected or unwanted pregnancy. And
That's right.
Okay, go ahead.
So you can go to afr.net and just click on the link there. It's there provided for you, Bibles for Babies right there. Or you can call in at 877-616-2396.
I do want to make our listeners aware. If you go to afr.net, the first thing you see is a big banner there, and it changes. There's 4 or 5 different banners, so you might have to wait, or you can click an arrow to get to the very first one, which is the Bibles for Babies campaign.
Yes,
that's
thank
where
you.
you would click.
All right, Ann, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate you being on with us. That's
And that wasn't a bad rabbit
Ann
trail.
Cockrell.
Yeah,
Huh?
that wasn't a bad rabbit trail. We're going to have Ann back to talk about this with the miscarriages. That's stunning.
Yeah.
So we'll make plans to have you come back maybe next month. Or
I'll have
something.
my show notes ready for that.
Yeah, there you go. You'll have your stats ready.
It's Ann Cockrell joining us. And as always, we encourage you to support your own local crisis pregnancy center.
Yes.
In your community.
Lots of Christians don't even know there are crisis pregnancy centers in their community. A lot of churches don't know. And those churches should be helping those crisis pregnancy
because that's the front line of the pro-life movement.
Yes.
Think about it.
Yeah.
And there's no laws that stop you from participating. Even if you live in a blue state, you should be, your church, if your church is pro-life, and you should be going to a pro-life church, then your church should be in some way supporting the local crisis pregnancy center, which is trying to help the young ladies who are in a situation that, where they are considering whether to abort their baby or keep their baby or give their baby up to adoption.
Right.
And also, most crisis pregnancy centers are what you call Christian based, and so they are witnessing.
Yes. And just like that was Ann's talking about the fact that the spiritual life is actually most important. And so these Christian crisis pregnancy centers are trying to do both, trying to take care of the spiritual needs, but also take care of the physical needs, which are very real to these young ladies who are oftentimes single moms or first-time moms. They're scared, and they need help.
Yes. Fred, what's your next story?
Well, over the last many years, one of my favorite restaurants has been Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel, yeah.
Love going there. Breakfasts are wonderful. But even if you had to wait outside in those rockers. And I've bought a lot of Christmas gifts because they have very unique Christmas gifts in there. But, I probably have gone to my last Cracker Barrel because of what's going on there. And I think probably there are a lot of Americans who feel the same way.
Why?
The reason being, I was going to say the company has gone woke, but the company went woke a long time ago. They just hid it.
Yes, by the way, and let me just, listeners, you want to hang in here because I thought this was kind of recent, but this goes back a decade or more.
Yes.
12, 13 years, maybe even more.
If you haven't seen it yet, I saw my first new billboard advertising the new branding, as they call it, but it goes so far beyond that. It goes to the leadership of this company, which has had a virus that came in, like you said, Ed, about 10 years ago. And I want to, Robbie Starbuck is a conservative activist. He exposes things going on in companies. All right.
He was the first that did the Bud Light, wasn't he? I think he might have been the first with the transgender spokesperson.
Yes. Listen, folks, basically what's been going on, and we've seen this in other companies before, is that they start bringing people into their board of directors. And this is what happened at Cracker Barrel. They started to hire people who were LGBTQ, who were, diversity hires, however you want to explain it. But let me give you a little bit of what Robbie Starbuck what he's been reporting over the last several days of the things that have been going on, the kinds of people they've been hiring, what they've been up to at Cracker Barrel. Cut number 13.
We investigated Cracker Barrel, and what I'm about to show you is a company infested with left-wing activists who are more interested in safe spaces, pronouns, and virtue signaling than they are in their customers. I think the best way to start is by telling you what you've been funding if you've gone to Cracker Barrel in recent years. So let's start with Nashville Pride. Yes, Cracker Barrel is a proud sponsor of Nashville Pride and have been part of it for over a decade, along with participating for multiple years in Evansville, Indiana's Third River City Pride event. They even made LGBTQ plus rocking chairs for these Pride events, the same Pride rocking chair that they put front and center in their Tennessee corporate office and at their 2019 Managers Conference for the Cracker Barrel managers.
All right, and it goes well beyond that. Their involvement, gay pride parades, all of these sorts of things. All of this leading up to some big changes on their branding and what the restaurant now looks like inside. It had that kind of down-home farmer's look. I used to love going in there because my grandfather was a farmer, and they'd have equipment that used, horse-drawn hay rakes and all that sort of thing, saddles, all of those sorts of things. And now they want it to look modern, but now we know what is behind all of that. And that is a CEO and groups of people that sit on the board of directors that think that it was a good idea to have heavily involvement from the LGBTQ crowd.
Well, here's the thing. Now, I saw the headline for a New York Times article about this, and it said that this change in the logo and then the designs, the layouts and the what's on the walls of the individual restaurants has become kind of an ink blot test, Rorschach test, where you see what you want to see in it. The left sees it as just good marketing changes. Conservatives see this as a betrayal of the restaurant's values. I was surprised. I tend to now think this might be a little more woke. At first, I wasn't sure what to make of it. I'll be honest.
Because all restaurant change up.
They make changes. Now, Bishop E.W. Jackson this morning, he was substituting for Jenna Ellis. He said, in his opinion, what Cracker Barrel is trying to do is to appear less white and less country, because there's the old white guy that was the old part of the logo, and then inside the restaurant you had all these implements, farming implements that kind of speak to country values and the old way of life. So I have no idea what Cracker Barrel was thinking. I don't particularly care for the new layout. Their food, at least in the local restaurant, hasn't changed a whole lot. I haven't been for weeks and weeks
well before this announcement. But it had been trending downward in quality a little bit. In terms of this being, as Bishop Jackson laid out, an attempt to move away from country and rural values, I can't answer that question, but they're getting a lot of flack. And in the week of the announcement of this, their stock plummeted. But I think now it's kind of moved up a little bit. We'll have to wait to see if this turns out to be a go woke, go broke thing.
Well, I didn't know that they were so heavily involved with the Human Rights Campaign.
Mm-hmm.
That Human Rights Campaign is a left-wing organization based in Washington, D.C., and they promote the LGBTQ agenda. And evidently Cracker Barrel's been giving them money.
10 years.
10 years, yeah, been giving them money. So so I was surprised at that. I was surprised to hear that.
I just don't understand why companies do this. A great company, they had to be making money. Every time I drove by a Cracker Barrel, the parking lot was full.
Right.
And you had to wait many times, sit outside in the rockers and wait to get in, especially on Sundays. The place was packed. So you're doing a really good business, and you sit around a boardroom and you say, let's change things.
Right.
I just don't understand that. Why you do that. And the only reason I can come up with is that you have a change of thinking at the very top, and you're going to try to appeal to a whole new group of people.
Right.
Even if it costs you those customers that have been loyal to you for decades.
Yes, I think that's part of when people say go woke, go broke. And by the way, Robbie Starbuck is no one to mess with. He gets a lot of publicity on. He's not a superhero, by the way, even though the name sounds like a superhero. But he gets a lot of traction on social media, and so I don't think this is going away. If he targets Cracker Barrel, you may wind up seeing a continued erosion of support from people who don't like being told, even though it's implied, we don't need you anymore, we're going after someone different. And by the way, when I said Bishop, a lot of our listeners do know who Bishop Jackson is. He's a black man and a preacher. And so when he says he thinks they're just trying to appear less white, that's not coming from a white guy. That's coming from a black guy who's observed a lot of this woke / DEI.
What's white about? what's color centric about Cracker Barrel?
Well, it's the logo. The logo was an old rural white guy standing.
What's wrong with that?
Well, exactly. I think that's what Bishop Jackson was saying.
I just see an old guy in overalls by a Cracker Barrel.
Yes,
which is the name of the store.
Right. Well, that's because you're thinking rationally, Tim. It is irrational for people to think this speaks about white privilege and this is a
That's
white
insane.
store. I know it's and I don't know whether that was the motivation,
right.
but why else get rid of the old guy? He has some nickname. And all the times my wife and I have been in Cracker Barrel, guess what? Blacks and whites,
it's very diverse.
It's diverse. I don't get it. People want quality food, and they don't like to. I don't like to think that this restaurant I'm going to, is so kind of preaching at me about my beliefs.
Yeah.
By telling me they're illegitimate. Whether or not that catches on in terms of the people who go, I guess it depends on whether the food remains good. But we'll have to wait and see.
Next story, Fred.
All right. Well, things are getting better in Washington, D.C., crime-wise. The U.S. Attorney for D.C., you probably know her, Jeanine Pirro, reporting this morning that the district has gone 12 days without a murder. And apparently,
that's extraordinary.
Given the murder rate in D.C. and the violence that we've seen, there's nothing short of just a miracle that's going on there. And, of course, we know, I think it's at least 6 states now have their National Guard soldiers there. And she was reporting there have been over 1,000 arrests just in the last couple of weeks since those soldiers have gone in there.
Do you know how, we could probably find out from people who've been in the area, but do you know how the National Guardsmen are being stationed or positioned? Are they block to block? Are they, in Washington, D.C.? How do you know that?
I don't know how they're being assigned. I have seen images, and they're like everywhere. I think particularly they're certainly in areas where you may have some tourists, but also, the subway system, the metro, all that sort of thing. But also, I mean, they're out there 24/7. And so they're in areas that maybe they're known where there have been gangs and crime in the past where people have congregated, starting trouble, all of that sort of thing. So that's where they are. But it is, it is a miracle. There have been no murders in that city now for at least 12 days.
By the way, I did a quick Google search, and this says their duties, talking about the more than 2,200 guardsmen from D.C. and 6 states. Their duties include presence patrols, monument security, traffic control, checkpoint operations, and supporting the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department and federal law enforcement partners. They are stationed across all 8 wards, including at metro stations, Union Station, the National Mall, and in neighborhoods like the Wharf and Logan Circle.
You haven't had a murder in 12 days?
12 days.
And the murder rate there would normally probably have a few.
One of the worst in the country.
Yeah. So, well, the reason I ask about how they're positioned or stationed is if you've got them block to block maybe, and they're visible. I'm talking about the National Guardsmen, even though they're not really trained police officers.
Right.
But just the presence of the National Guardsmen themselves would prevent gang activity or crime activity on that particular street.
It says that they are authorized, talk about National Guardsmen, authorized to carry service-issued firearms, including M17 pistols and M4 rifles for personal protection. So M4, that's what they use in the military.
But
this probably is not going to surprise you, but President Trump thinks this would work in other cities. And he's named a few: Chicago, Baltimore, and New York. Well, the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, not taking a liking to that at all. Cut number 6.
Well, again, the city of Chicago does not need a military-occupied state. That's not who we are. Here's the bottom line: they don't have police power. There's nothing they can do. These are federal troops. They do not go through the training that our police officers go through, so they cannot even enact police authority. We're not going to surrender our humanity to this tyrant. I can tell you this: the city of Chicago has a long history of standing up against tyranny, resisting those who wish to undermine the interests of working people. We're not going to back down. We're not going to cower. We're not going to bend. We're not going to break. We are Chicago. We are the soul of America, and we will maintain that posture from now until.
Well, Janine Pirro responded to what the mayor of Chicago had to say. Cut 15.
You know what my response to that is? You know what tyranny is? Tyranny is when you can't walk outside and go to dinner.
Yep.
Tyranny is when they shoot you and the person walks out of jail before you get out of the hospital. Tyranny is when people are not made accountable. And they should hope that the president comes in with this unified force. And his joking only 9 arrests, I'll tell you what the good news is that this mayor can't figure out. The good news is that they're afraid to commit crimes. When you have an increased law enforcement, people in the community, especially the crime-ridden community, they're saying, thank you. They're afraid to commit crimes because they know they'll be accountable. Johnson ought to hope that the president comes there to clean up the mess in Chicago.
That won't happen.
She's a firebrand. Now, the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, is an incredibly leftist loon. But my personal opinion is I don't think it's constitutional for the president to send troops into cities where they're not requested. D.C. is a different story because it's a federal district, But President Trump does not have the authority to send in troops to clean up a mess that is made by duly elected leftists like Brandon Johnson. That is up to the people who live in Chicago to vote in somebody who will do what needs to be done when it comes to crime.
All right, we're going to take a short time out right here. You're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Tim, Ed, and Fred. Harris Alford will be joining us after the break. You're listening to AFR. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Hey, if you're looking for family-friendly entertainment or resources to strengthen your walk with God, there's one name you should remember: American Family Studios. We don't just want to bring you shows, movies, and specials that will entertain or build up your family. We're committed to honoring God by making them both biblically sound and of the highest quality possible. Check us out at AmericanFamilyStudios.net.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump has signed executive orders this morning focusing on violent crime. One deals with cashless bail.
That was when the big crime in this country started. And I can tell you who did it, when, but I don't want to do that because others followed pretty quickly. But that was when it happened. Somebody kills somebody, they go in, don't worry about it, no cash, come back in a couple of months, we'll give you a trial. You never see the person again. And I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street.
President Trump has made Washington, D.C. safe again, and Chicago is next. The president says he will send in troops and stop the violent crime in the Windy City. But for some reason, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson doesn't want that.
The president has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to arrest 9 people in D.C. You know, clearly he's demonstrated that he doesn't have a level of consciousness to understand what it takes to run cities, not to mention an entire country.
Attorney for the District of Columbia, Janine Pirro, responded to that.
You know what my response to that is? You know what tyranny is? Tyranny is when you can't walk outside and go to dinner. Yep. Tyranny is when they shoot you and the person walks out of jail before you get out of the hospital. Tyranny is when people are not made accountable. And they should hope that the president comes in with this unified force. And his joking only 9 arrests, I'll tell you what the good news is that this mayor can't figure out. The good news is that they're afraid to commit crimes.
And President Trump also responded to the Chicago mayor.
I watched as a very incompetent mayor from Chicago said, well, what do they know? They only arrested 9 people. I said, 9 people? We didn't arrest 9 people. We actually arrested a total of well over 1,000 people. We took hundreds of guns away from young kids that were throwing them around like it was candy. We apprehended scores of illegal aliens. We seized dozens of illegal firearms. There have been 0 murders.
The Department of Homeland Security reveals where Kilmar Abrego Garcia will be heading next.
Not long after turning himself in to an ICE facility in Baltimore, the Department of Homeland Security confirmed Kilmar Abrego Garcia will be sent to Uganda. Abrego Garcia is at the heart of the debate surrounding the Trump administration's immigration crackdown after he was deported to El Salvador earlier this year. He was brought back to the United States to face smuggling charges in Tennessee before returning to Maryland. In Washington, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
And finally, archaeologists say they have found the village where 3 of Jesus' disciples lived. Steve Jordahl reports.
A wildfire on the north shores of the Sea of Galilee in Israel uncovered some mounds archaeologists say may be the remains of the town of Bethsaida, where Peter, Andrew, and Philip lived and fished. They have also found fragments of pottery and walls dating back to the Roman era when Christ lived. Biblical apologist Alex McFarland says he's seen it over and over again. Quoting Nelson Gluck, referred to as the Dean of Biblical Archaeology,
he said it may be categorically stated that no archaeological discovery has ever controverted a biblical reference.
But he says some Christians downplay all archaeological finds, as well as scientific discoveries that confirm or explain the hand of God in our world. They say all they need is a childlike faith. McFarland says that's all well and good, but
For a skeptical world, I don't think it's wrong at all to cite these evidences, which are just voluminous in number, that validate the Bible.
McFarland says Jesus himself pointed to physical proof of biblical truths.
Christ physically rose, and he pointed to the tangible nature of his resurrected body as proof that he had risen.
He says ours is not a blind faith, but a faith validated by the evidence time and time and time again.
In fact, what's not valid is obstinate unbelief in the face of all this compelling data.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
Stocks slipped in early trading on Wall Street today after a big jump last week in hopes of more interest rate cuts from the Federal Reserve. More news online at afn.net. I'm Rusty P.
AFA Action takes attacks on the family seriously. The enemies of the family constantly employ new tactics to try to sneak past our radar. They know if we stand together, their evil plans will fail. Your gift to AFA Action allows us to stay vigilant against their onslaught. And if you give this month, you'll receive access to the Cultural Institute video When Your Faith is Illegal by Frank Harbor on AFA Stream as our thanks. You can make your gift today at afaaction.net.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. As you know, last week we reported that Steve Paisley Jordahl has gone off with his wife on a cruise to Alaska that I'm not telling anything he didn't already tell the world.
Right.
So they're cruising up to Alaska and back, right, Ed?
I think so. I think this is a round trip.
A round trip.
I'm hoping this is a round trip.
Yeah, so filling in for Steve is our good friend Parrish and colleague Parrish Alford. Good morning, Parrish.
Tim, how are you?
Doing well. Did you have a good weekend?
I did, man. It was fast.
Did you watch any college football?
I got in trouble for watching college football.
Oh, you did?
My wife said
already? Week one?
Already.
You were in trouble?
Said I watched week 0. My wife said I watched too much of it.
Oh, right. Well, you know how they are.
Well, you just then Parrish, you just set the record straight right here on national radio, and you just tell everybody who's boss at your house.
Yeah, you turn the
no.
She said turn the TV off.
There is a boss.
You have a problem.
You have a problem.
You have a problem. You understand? You're sitting here watching some two small schools play on TV, right? At 10 o'clock at night.
Kansas State.
Well, actually, they're not small schools.
No, I know. They were the first.
Yeah, Iowa State and Kansas State played over in Dublin, Ireland, right?
Yes. That's right.
Did you know? I watched a replay of that game. I didn't watch that game live. The Irish need to do a better job of painting the field. You could barely see the hash marks of the lines on the field.
Well, and I kept having flashbacks to my former life, sitting in press boxes and trying to chart the ball play by play, and I just thought I would be losing my mind.
Yeah, I mean,
just got to give up.
Literally, you could, if you watch it on TV, you could barely see the hash marks. Evidently, the Irish, they're not used to marking a football field, American football field. But then they had I understand it was a rain deluge prior to the game, which made it, or maybe during the first part of the game, which made it, maybe made the lines wash away.
Well, that's not what I heard, Tim. I heard that they did a great job painting the field, but overnight leprechauns came and messed with the field.
Well, that can happen.
They're prone to do that.
Especially in that part of the world.
Very mischievous.
Leprechauns, you got unicorns that are roaming around over there.
They'll trample on it.
They're trampling. So you got problems that are unique to Ireland.
Yes. The little people.
All right. What do you mean by that?
That's what they call them.
What?
Don't you remember the old Disney movie Darby O'Gill and the Little People? You don't remember that? And it was the little fairy creatures in Ireland. Ireland.
Okay.
Oh, Darby O'Gill.
Is that where we get leprechauns from? Leprechauns are little.
They are. That's right. They're the very mischievous little people which
well,
is a reference to the fairies.
That's actually a stereotype that's very hurtful.
For leprechauns?
Yeah. Because all of them aren't mischievous.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll do. All of you leprechauns that are out there in our listening audience, if you've been offended, you go ahead and email me, and I'll try to make things right.
Right. Do that. Because don't email me.
I'll send you some Lucky Charms.
Well, there we go again. See, that's just...
That's just wrong.
That's gratuitous.
Yes.
All right, Parrish, what's your first story?
Well, Tim, the first story is Trump, and will he or won't he go into Chicago? I believe you guys were discussing this a little bit earlier. I heard on Fox News before I came in here that he says, I may or I may not.
Talking about President Trump.
Yes.
Okay, so just to review, and most people know this, President Trump initiated a basically make America's capital safe, our capital being Washington, D.C., and he's brought in the National Guard from around the country and to aid the Washington, D.C. Metro Police and to help patrol and make safe our nation's capital, and it is working. It's not any surprise. You got more cops, you got less crime. That's just the way it is. Okay? So, and by cops, I mean also by extension the National Guardsmen that are there serving in a law enforcement capacity. Now, so that made people think, well, if it can work in Washington, D.C., why can't it work in other cities, American cities that are crime-ridden?
You know, and the data suggests that maybe Chicago needs a little help in this area. I mean, they lead the nation in homicides.
Do they?
573 in 2024.
Like, you mean straight up the number or per capita?
Straight up the number. Now, if you want to talk per capita, Jackson, Mississippi says, hold my sweet tea. You know?
Oh, yeah.
At 78 per 100,000, Jackson, Mississippi leads.
Is more dangerous per capita.
Yes.
And then Memphis is not far behind.
Yeah.
Memphis, Tennessee, unfortunately, was cited the other day by the FBI, I think, as the most dangerous city in America. So the violent crime in these cities out of control. However, I would issue a cautionary tale here tale maybe is not the right word, but to
a caution.
Just a caution.
Yeah.
To President Trump and his team. Ed, you mentioned before the break. Okay, Washington, D.C. is a unique situation. It's a federal city. It's a district. But President Trump, you doubted whether he has the constitutional authority to start sending the federal guard. I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's just talking out loud. But to send in the National Guardsmen to Chicago or Baltimore, anywhere else
I don't think he has the constitutional authority to do that. I think that the governor of a state usually requests the help of the federal government in disaster areas. The National Guard generally is not trained to do law enforcement.
They are trying to do law and order, though. They keep order when you have a national or state emergency,
and that may free up the Washington, D.C. District Police to do their job. I am looking at a CNN article because President Trump was live. We couldn't hear what he was saying because we're on air. But it says President Donald Trump signed an executive order today that the administration says will task Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth with establishing, quote, specialized units in the National Guard that will be, quote, specifically trained and equipped to deal with public order issues. So we'll have to wait to see if that gets fleshed out and we get more details into what that means. I generally don't like the idea of federal troops, of a federal police force. And if they are going to be doing arrests in some of these cities, I don't think I like it. I'm just going to tell you.
It need to be the FBI then, or some other federal agency that's already in existence.
If it's federal laws broken. Right. If it's just city ordinances or state laws, that should be. This is a question of federalism in my mind. And if Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson and the city council want to ruin that city, you get what you vote for in Chicago.
I agree.
And you don't send in the federal
Try to save
troops.
them from themselves.
Yes.
Parrish?
All right. Well, I'm wondering, Tim, you hit on this earlier. Is this just Trump talking out loud to bring attention to the problem, to create awareness, to make people think outside the box for solutions?
Well, if somebody's in my opinion, and I agree with Ed here, somebody's giving him bad advice. If they're telling him it's a good idea to create some kind of a federal force, law enforcement out of National Guardsmen from around the country and send them into various cities, like you've done here in Washington D.C., as we said, Washington D.C. is a set aside. It's a federal city. It's not so. That's different. It's different legally, constitutionally, and every other way. So, bad idea. If this is what the idea is, that is to create a force made out of National Guardsmen that would be sent into cities just for the purpose of general policing, I don't agree with that.
Right.
Now, unless you had something like but in this case, it would be like the governor needs to call out. The governor of Illinois needs to call out the National Guard to help in Chicago. He would have the authority to do so. And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, anyway, we'll see what happens there.
Now, the reason we don't know much about what President Trump is proposing, other than this CNN article,
said?
Yeah, other than what CNN said, is because it was just on the news feed that we have, and there was a live video, and that's when he was announcing this. So
Trump likes to troll, though. Trump likes to troll, and this could be trolling. You know what I'm saying? Troll. Yeah. I need to quit saying that so much, but you understand what I believe?
Yes.
Okay.
In other words, that he doesn't really intend to do this.
He just wants he likes getting a rise out of the left.
He wants to see their heads spin off.
Yeah, he wants to own the libs.
Right.
Right. And so and so that's part of it.
He wants the women on The View to go ballistic.
Yes.
So he can say, calm down.
Yes. All right, next story, Paris.
All right, a New York State appeals court has thrown out the $527 million civil fraud penalty imposed.
I wasn't
going to
pay it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
imposed against Donald Trump.
Oh, okay. All right, my bad. I thought they was talking about me, and I just don't have I don't have that kind of money.
Not laying around.
Not laying around. So President Trump, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Is this the one where Attorney General James of the state of New York went after Trump on charge?
Yes, issued on August 21st, 2025. Okay. They threw that out, found that it was excessive.
Business fraud, what they accused him of, right?
Yes.
And then it was demonstrated during that trial that basically this was politically motivated by the Attorney General. In fact, she said when she was running for office that she was going to go after Trump. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Now, Trump on Truth Social over the weekend said, total victory, all caps.
Yeah, well, it was.
That means it's really a total victory.
It was overturned by a state appellate court in New York, right?
Yep.
So that's a big deal because they're probably all liberals. And yet they said this was didn't they say that it was politically motivated?
They said the ruling is excessive and likely violates constitutional protections against severe punishment.
The Eighth Amendment forbids excessive. That's called the excessive fines clause, and so it ensures that fines and forfeitures in criminal cases are not grossly disproportionate to the offense committed, which this clearly was. Now, this ruling does not vacate the original ruling against President Trump, which goes back to, was it 2022?
So at least 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Because I remember him sitting in that courtroom watching them on TV.
Yes, yeah.
Go ahead, but what does it do? So it doesn't overturn that?
It leaves in place the underlying finding that Trump engaged in fraud by exaggerating his wealth and property values over a decade to secure favorable loan and insurance terms.
Which I thought was ridiculous.
So
myself, the ruling.
Well, that's one of those things to me. You know how you can say, well, you can find something on everybody?
Yeah.
That, that you've done technically, and that sounds like to me, this is what this was. She was going after him for political reasons when you would normally go after people on these kinds of charges.
Right.
Especially if you have a situation where a businessman here, she's saying you exaggerated your net worth in order to obtain loans from banks, right? Isn't that
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking to myself, isn't that really between the bank and the person borrowing? Because isn't it the bank's job to do due diligence on whether they're going to be paid back by a person borrowing millions of dollars?
And listen, I think yes. And I also think that evaluating the worth of properties that you might put up for the loan is probably just not a number that everyone agrees on. If you say, I think this property is worth this, and I have these.
That's why the bank does their job.
Yes, exactly.
The bank says, okay, you're going to borrow $10 and you say you have property that's worth $15. We're going to go check it out.
Yeah.
We're going to go look at the property. We're going to compare it to other properties around the area, the comps, as they say, and we're going to figure out whether what you're saying is you're going to borrow this money, or we're going to be able to get our money back. And the banks didn't have a problem loaning President Trump, then Donald Trump, the businessman in New York, money.
And they said in the trial, we would have been happy to do more work.
Yeah, I think it was a German bank. He had always paid all these loans back. Now, he did have some bankruptcies along the way.
Well,
in his
you
40
mentioned
years, 50 years.
That this was politically motivated by Letitia James going against Trump. Well, Trump, now in office, is going after Letitia James.
Really? That's surprising.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah. I mean, that's not like him.
Well, it's forgive and forget with Donald Trump.
No, it ain't. It's just get revenge.
So
look at John Bolton.
That's true. That's
going after
story.
They're going after John. The FBI is going after John Bolton like the FBI went after Donald Trump. Is that right?
In fairness, this is the Justice Department. Okay,
oh, not the FBI,
which is politically separate from President Trump, but maybe not really.
Well, I don't know why. Listen, I'm just spouting off. I don't know why they're going after John Bolton. I'm sure there's a technical, legal reason. I'm just saying it appears like, John Bolton got on Trump's bad side.
Yeah.
It appears like Trump's
Well, he's got something against the Doobie Brothers, obviously, right? Oh, wrong Bolton.
Michael Bolton?
I'm sorry, I got the Boltons mixed up.
I think you got the whole singing groups mixed up. Totally.
It's not about the Doobie Brothers.
You need to stay with sports news.
Was Michael Bolton on the Doobie Brothers?
No.
Yeah.
Michael McDonald was.
Michael
You
McDonald?
got your Michaels mixed
I
up.
got everything mixed up.
Yeah.
I thought Michael Bolton was
Michael McDonald,
the lead singer for Kiss.
Michael, I didn't rabbit trail this. Y'all did.
No.
Or Parrish
did.
He tried to.
He's fitting right in.
He tried to. Anyway, I don't know what the actual situation is with John Bolton, the former national security advisor, right?
His home got didn't the FBI search his home?
I thought you said Justice Department. The
FBI
is under the Justice Department. I don't know. Yes, they did. They raided his home and took boxes of stuff. John Bolton, who's basically known for his mustache more than anything. Am I right? The interesting thing about John Bolton, and I won't go, he was a beloved conservative for many years.
Yes.
I know I had a lot of friends who were mutual friends of his. And then he went to work for President Trump. He was on TV a lot. President Trump likes to hire people who've been on Fox News in particular, and he hired him, and they didn't jail, okay?
Right.
President Trump and John Bolton did.
He was national security advisor.
Yeah, that's what it said.
For Trump.
That's what it said.
All right.
No, just a minute ago I said the same. But you were looking it up at the time.
I
You were
was
ignoring what I said. But I understand why.
I thought you had asked the question, was he?
Okay.
But true, I was not listening. So
my wife says a lot.
So what? So there's no idea of why his
John
Bolton's
yeah, because he ticked
house
Trump
was
off.
searched. I mean, in other words, what they're investigating.
I don't know. They got some reason.
Okay.
And I'm just joking around here. I should probably not even lest my home be raided. I don't even know. I'm just saying it appears. If you don't have anything, it just appears like he's being pounced on because he was crossways with Trump.
Okay,
that's what the left would probably
says,
say.
And this comes from MSNBC, so you can trust this.
You can trust this.
This is part of an investigation, and you have to have search warrants to go into someone's home.
You do.
So that requires judicial approval, as this article says. Whether Bolton leaked sensitive national security information to the press in order to damage Trump.
Well, that must have been when he left.
Yeah. So that would be the pretext, apparently, for this investigation.
Yeah, next story, Parrish. We got about 5 minutes to go. Parrish Alford with us today and doing a great job bringing the news last week, filling in for Steve Paisley, Jordan.
Next story, a United States mom visiting in Vienna tracks down – visiting in Venice, tracks down pickpockets.
I saw this story.
By using the Find My phone, Find My Apple device, using that app, track down pickpockets to get back passport, credit cards, that sort of thing, and caught up with the pickpockets, and they were arrested. So
this woman's a superhero.
Yeah.
This is like something out of Batman, where she went to the Batcave and found out where her AirPods were. That's our presumption is here that the Find My app on her phone was able to locate the I
think some AirPods maybe, but
that
obviously
were
an
stolen
Apple
along
product.
with the credit cards.
Yeah.
And then she grabbed the girl, I guess what the girl pickpocket might have been part of a little team, by the hair and pulled her back.
Yeah, the little girl was screaming.
Waited till police to get there. How old was the girl? Like she was a young teenager,
didn't
right?
See an age. Didn't
teenager.
She's
teenager.
Kinda
anyway,
young.
so is an American tourist in Venice, Italy.
Yes.
Get pickpocketed, and the mom finds out through her app where her stuff is, and goes and finds the person. It happened to be a young girl. I say young girl, looked to me like to be maybe 14, 15, 16 years old.
Yes,
and she grabs her by the hair and holds her there.
A couple of girls.
So the police get there.
Pickpockets usually, I have no personal knowledge of this, they usually operate in pairs or groups.
This was more than one. Doesn't say how many. It was more than one girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, pickpockets. They're usually work together because a lot of them, and you go to any major city in America or tourist site where you're going to be walking around out in the open, they're going to warn you against pickpockets, especially somewhere like Venice, Italy,
right,
where you are in close proximity to humans.
A lot of tourists.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot walking here, there, and the other. You're bumping up against people, and so pickpockets are very prevalent.
And now I have heard, especially in the larger cities in Italy, Rome, they say you go to Rome, watch out for pickpockets, and there's all kinds of advice on
I thought you were going to say do like the Romans. I was going to say that would be.
They pillage.
You don't need to, huh?
They're pillaging.
The Romans? They have a history.
They're pillaging the tourists.
Rome, beautiful city, but again, I say beautiful in the art and
in their way,
and the history and things that you see. But yeah, you have to be careful. Have you ever been pickpocketed, Parrish?
I've never been pickpocketed.
Have you ever played pickleball?
I have not. Not done that
either. Have you ever had anything to do with pickles?
Like them on a hamburger.
Like them on a hamburger. That's what I'm talking about. Have you ever been, seriously, have you ever been
the
victim of a pickpocket?
No. I avoid people. The only way I could probably get pickpocketed is at church because I'm not around big crowds of people.
Has that ever happened to you at church?
No, not that I know of. My wife and I would like to go. I'd like to go to to Greece or to Italy. I've never been. I'm half Italian, half Greek. I'd like to go, but only if there's not a lot of people. You think I could do that? Just get rid of.
Well, there are some things called off seasons for tourists, so maybe you could go when there's less people in those places.
The number of people here in this studio is about what I'm comfortable with.
Right.
I don't like big crowds.
And I've never attempted to pickpocket you.
No.
I can assure you.
I can say the people here have been very good about that.
Yes. Thank you, Parrish.
Glad to be here.
All right. I like pickles on my hamburgers, too.
Me too.
In fact, I complain if there's not pickles available.
You
pickles.
complain?
If there's not dill pickles available for my hamburger, it's
got to be dill.
I have a visceral reaction.
Can't be sweet pickles. It's got to be dill.
Sweet pickles on hamburgers?
Dill pickles.
That's un-American.
You got that right.
Huh? We will see you back here tomorrow, everybody. Have a great day.